Nick Sirianni Live, presented by Premier Orthopedic.
Hey, Nick. Excuse me. There's been a few times this year, where you've had an efficient half offensively and then an inefficient one. After you watched the film yesterday, any themes coming across when that does happen?
Yeah, that's we watched the tape from yesterday, graded the tape, went through it, offense, defense, special teams. That's something that's on our, we're going to watch all those in conjunction with each other. This today, tomorrow, to kind of look at some of those things right there. I think again, at the end of the day, we got to do a better job putting them in position to succeed. We got to do a better job executing. It's never just one thing, but that's something we're going to study, and we have been studying, but we'll put it all together here again later today, tomorrow.
We'll go to Dave and then Tim McManus.
Hey, Nick, now that you know the situation with seeding in the NFC, what's your plan for Week 18? And if you can you take us into the background of how you make a decision like that?
Yeah, I guess it's really there's still things up in the air as far as seeding goes, right? I mean, it's pretty similar to where we were last week. What you end up going through is, obviously we've done it both ways. We've had opportunities to rest. We've had opportunities to continue to get a better seed and played. So really, I don't think, your process, you go through your process, you go through all those different things, but every season's a little bit different. Every team's a little bit different. We'll end up doing what we think's the best for the team. And that, as we go through our process, and we're still thinking through that. That's not a decision I have to make today, or even tomorrow. It's just something that you have to go through the process of making it. And so again, at the end of the day, we'll do what we feel is best for the team. I know there'll be debate about, whatever it is that we do, but that's why we have to go through our process, and do what we feel is best to help our team, moving forward.
We'll go to Tim and then Ruben Frank.
Hey, Nick, Jalen has had two different second halves this season where he threw for 0 yards, but you guys won both of those games. Just trying to make sense of that. Is that something that is, I know you don't want 0 yards, but is that sort of part of the formula, or are you looking at it as something that needs to get rectified?
Yeah, obviously, like I said to you guys yesterday, like being up 13-0 at half is not, I mean, you'd rather be up 13-0 than be down 13-0, obviously, but by no means are we ever saying, hey, that's good, take your foot off the pedal. Like, we're trying to press still and go and continue. You don't start thinking about that until well into the fourth quarter of when you start to get into type of football where and it's not even taking your foot off the gas, where you're using clock and doing things like that. Again, we just all have to, I have to do a better job in that second half to allow us to be in those positions. I think that we weren't efficient first, second down, and then we had obviously had a hard time there on third down. And when you get into those where you're having some 3 and outs, when drives don't extend, obviously your yards are coming way down, your efficiency is coming way down. All those things are happening. And so I think it makes it look like, we had a very limited amount of plays, but, we weren't executing, we weren't putting them guys in position to succeed, to allow drives to start so we could get into that. Again, you never want no passing yards, obviously. And obviously we didn't have very many rushing yards either. So it was everything. It wasn't just, the passing game. We just weren't efficient enough on offense, and we all share in that, execution, coaching, everything.
We'll go to Ruben and then Brooks Kubina.
Hey, Nick, you guys have the best road record in football since you got here in 2021. What goes into having success on the road from your perspective?
Yeah, there's a lot. Obviously, great communication has to happen on the road. And we had some communication. We had a couple things where, communication they got us yesterday. So it's not like we were perfect. You always are trying to be perfect in that aspect, but communication and executing in the crowd noise is huge. Whether you're home or whether you're away, I think it always comes down to fundamentals, and playing together as a football team and playing, with relentless effort, and having, I think another thing about, where, having the road record that we do, I think that's a product of really good players and good coaches. And so, it's everything that goes into that, but good mental toughness. I think that really signifies your mental toughness too, to be able to go and, like, we experienced some highs and some lows yesterday, and we were able to continue to be relentless in our approach, handling ups and downs. They ended up making a critical mistake in the game, and we didn't, which was ended up being the difference in that game. So again, coming down to fundamentals. So yeah, but just great resilience by the guys, in that, and we prepare for that as coaches and players.
We'll go to
Thank you.
Brooks and then Jeff McLean.
Hey, Nick, I wanted to ask you about some of those plays that you were trying to get out of in that last stretch in the second half. I mean, you guys put in Dallas Goedert in a couple I formation looks, and seems like you get the nickel to stay on the field, but you ran away from him twice. I'm sure to strategy you keep those things in house, but I'm just curious what strategy you're kind of pursuing in general in those things, or at the very least, are you getting what you want out of those looks execution wise?
You're saying when we brought him home and he was in the two-back set?
Yeah, he was your
Yeah,
fullback.
again, anytime you have different formations in the game, you want to be able to attack multiple ways, whether it's strong side, weak side, play action, drop back. You're always thinking through that. And, yesterday we had a couple of plays with that set that we had success on, and we had a couple that they got us. That's football. And you obviously want to be successful on every single play that you have. But it's so important that for us as coaches to be meshing things together. And even though you may have them meshed together on your call sheet, you also got to get them called within the game to keep the defense off balance. So yeah, one play they're in one coverage. And had we had them in the other coverage, which you're making educated guesses out there as coaches, and they're educated guesses, but had we had them in the other coverage on the one, a little bit bigger of a play, and if not, and then we had them other coverage on the other one, would have been a little bit bigger play, but that's football, and you got to be able to block and react to every different look that you can possibly get. There's the amount of plays that you have in a game plan and the amount of different things that the defense can do to you are endless. So that's why you're just trying to make best educated guesses as you go. And sometimes you call the perfect play and sometimes you don't. And that's just the way it goes, because they're getting paid on the other side as well.
We'll go to McLean and then Bo Wolf.
Nick, it looked like on a number of the runs in the second half that you guys are running in the heavy boxes with unfavorable numbers. Did you feel like you guys should have gotten out of some of those calls? And what can Jalen do, to audible there? And the follow up there would be, is the fact that you guys are getting to the line so late and later than any team in the NFL, is that crippling his ability to change the play?
Yeah, when you the amount of time that you have up at the line of scrimmage is critical, and so again we're continuing to press our operation. We haven't had a pre-snap penalty in a couple weeks, but we continually want to get better there. There are different plays, and Jalen. That Jalen can there are different plays that within our system that Jalen can get to different things. There are plays that are call and run it plays. And even though you sometimes have a heavy box, you don't want the defense always dictating to you what you have to do. And so even when you have a heavy box, sometimes there's different variations of how you can block that box. I know sometimes it is, Jeff, a true number count, but sometimes it is, hey, you're booking somebody on the backside and you're counting on him having to run through a bunch of junk to make the play, and sometimes you're reading him. And so there's different ways that you can account for heavy boxes. And sometimes it is, like I said, like you said, it's to check out of it. But you can't, I don't think you can't be extreme in any one of them. There's a time and place for each one of them. They all have to be part of our thought process as coaches to prepare Jalen to go out and execute. And Jalen, does a really good job of seeing it on the field and helping us get in and out of good plays. And we'll continue to use him to help us do that because I think he's outstanding at what he sees on the field and being able to get us into the right checks.
We have time for two more, so we'll go to Bo and finish with Zach Berman.
Hey Nick, the end of the Washington game, there was that fight, and then Dan Quinn had some words about we'll see those guys again soon. I'm curious if that is at all a part of your calculation as you go through the process of deciding whether to play the guys on Sunday.
No, again, like we talked about, I respect this team. I respect the game of football. I respect Coach Quinn and all his players there way too much to ever do anything where we thought we were doing anything wrong in that situation. So I have the utmost respect for this football team that we're about to play. We'll do what's best for our football team in every aspect. You can't think about anything else other than that. And so that's what we'll do as we continue to think through this thing.
Thank you.
We'll finish with Zach here.
Hey, good afternoon, Nick. If I can follow up on that and on Dave's question, if the number 2 seed is reasonably possible as it is, I guess why would you not go for it? What's the reason not to play?
Yeah, again, we've had different scenarios. I think sometimes, again, we don't know what we're doing yet, right? Or you guys don't know what we're doing yet. We're leaning and we're getting all the information and going. But this is a marathon of a season, and I look back, and I guess to say why would we not play? Because that's your question. I said if I look back and how beneficial some of the buys that we've had have been, right? That's part of the reason why you think through it, right? It's a marathon of a season. You give you guys some rest. You get some time to think through some different things, even though you're preparing for an opponent as you go. Both times that I've been here that we've been to the Super Bowl, we've had that opportunity for a bye. And that's 22 and obviously 24. In 21, we created ourselves a bye as well. You had the opportunity to do that. Now it didn't, we didn't go to Tampa and win because we didn't win that game, obviously. And 23, we played a little bit in that aspect. And so all these different scenarios, like you have a bunch of different scenarios. And yes, your seating's not locked down yet, but you are thinking, hey, can I put ourselves in the best position seating wise, but while also you're thinking to yourself how important, buys are and creating them if you don't earn the right for the first round bye. So those are all things you got to think through and go through, because I think a lot of guys would say last year that, that was a big deal of being able to have the bye last year, a built-in bye last year to set us up for what we ultimately did last year.
I appreciate
Thanks.
that. That's the reason. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Nick Sirianni Live, presented by Premier Orthopedic.